Well, inflation in Canada has cooled faster than it has in the U.S., but it is still a problem that many Canadians are struggling with. And one of the ways that they deal with it is not by deferring their purchases, but I guess extending the period at which they pay for things through programs known as Buy Now and Pay Later. And that's become easier with tech platforms like Klarna and Affirm offering that at checkout in some of the most popular online shopping destinations. Let's bring in Wayne Pommen. He is the Chief Revenue Officer of payment services company Affirm Holdings. Wayne, thanks so much for joining us. And, you know, we think about Buy Now, Pay Later as a choice that consumers make maybe when they're feeling strained, maybe when they're feeling stretched. Is that really what's happening, or do you find people that aren't strained or stressed also taking advantage of Buy Now, Pay Later?
Yeah, great question. And thank you, Amber, for having me. You know, I think we've seen massive adoption of things like Buy Now, Pay Later over the past number of years in both great economic times and tougher economic times. So I think there's a secular trend there that's continuing sort of regardless. But I think you're onto something, which is that when people's budgets are a little bit strained, when there's inflation, people can use something like Buy Now, Pay Later to make their dollars go a little bit further. And I think importantly, avoid some of the downsides that come with traditional credit methods like credit cards, let's say, where you can get trapped in revolving balances and late fees and so on, which we don't charge.
So, and that's really interesting that you don't charge that because, you know, we track things like delinquencies, and I'm sure that happens on your platform as well. What have you seen on delinquencies? And because you're a business, how do you deal with that if you're not charging late fees?
Yeah, well, our economic model just has never relied on late fees. We've never charged a single one in the history of the company that goes back to 2012. And that means we need to be really, really good at underwriting each transaction. So unlike a credit card where we're underwriting a line of credit that the consumer can then go and use, we underwrite every single transaction at the time of that purchase to make sure we understand what the customer is buying, what particular financial shape they're in at that time. And that really allows us to control our risk and make sure that neither our customers nor us get into any trouble on that side.
But to the first point, are you seeing an uptick in delinquencies as a sign of strain and stress?
We aren't yet. Despite the tougher times that we've seen in the economy on both sides of the border, we really have not seen a material change in delinquency. And again, that comes down to really tight underwriting control and monitoring those consumer trends.
If it's becoming almost a service for these retailers and others to offer, how do you think about the competitive landscape? Klarna, which is expected to IPO, is also here. What does it take to kind of win business here?
It comes down to having a great offering that customers want to use, that resonates, that drives a lot of repeat purchases. And we find that large retailers are really looking for really strong technology that drives conversion, that integrates really well with their offerings and what they're trying to accomplish. So multiple things go into it. And there are multiple competitors in the space, but we continue to see our biggest competitor as, frankly, incumbent payment methods like credit cards, where we're trying to bring an alternative to those types of products that customers have used for a very long time and where we think there's a better way.
Those companies also give us real-time insights into where people are spending. And I'm wondering what your insights show. Post-pandemic was all about revenge travel. Is that still as strong? What are some of the areas of strength and maybe weakness that you're seeing with respect to consumer purchases?
Yeah, so we actually did a survey in February of 2,000 Canadians, and we asked them questions about how they're feeling about the economy, how they're feeling about their personal finances, what some of their spending plans are. A few interesting things came out of it. Number one, Canadians are a little bit pessimistic about the economy right now. Only 29% felt that the economy would improve in the next 12 months, which is fairly pessimistic. But when it came to their own personal finances, they were a little more bullish. Close to half felt that their personal financial situation would improve in the coming year. And 82% expected to make a large purchase in the coming year. And when we looked at by age cohort, younger consumers like millennials and Gen Z, over 90% plan to make a large purchase in the next 12 months. And then we drilled down a little bit into what are some of those categories. And you mentioned travel. That was actually the largest category where people expected to spend money. Cars were also mentioned, home furniture and decor and electronics, but travel was the number one category.